What's going on, everybody out there watching us on the various Bounding Into Comics channels, YouTube, Facebook, Kick, Twitch, and Twitter? I believe that's where we're going. How are you all doing this lovely Thursday afternoon? If you know me as Spencer Paculi. You might know me as Mav. You might know me as the editor-in-chief of Bounding Into Comics. Either way, if you're here right now, you'll know me for about the next hour and a half as your host of this awesome Ask Me Anything live stream that we are getting to do here today. Guys, if you caught so let me rephrase that. This will be the second of our new AMA series that we're doing here on Bounding Into Comics, where we're trying to, connect you guys with the creators that actually deliver for us, that you guys actually want to talk to, listen to, pick their brains about, because, we don't always have to listen to whatever celebrity is, giving their really bad read on whatever character is supposed to be whatever character, right? So, in service of making this, or not making this medium better, but rather making, I guess you could say, the medium better, right? Refostering our love in comic books. We've been hosting a couple people to, answer your questions, give you some insights. Our first episode was a couple weeks ago. We spoke with the Rippaverse's Andrew Rodriguez about his new character, Blue Shift, who, in fact, is actually joining me today. Oh, I got to do this whole thing again. Go over here. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend?
Man, I always love and appreciate how you make me feel less bad about not being a YouTuber.
Well, look, you aren't a YouTuber, but that's to our advantage, because if you guys didn't know, the reason Andrew is here today is not just because of his Rippaverse connections, but because he is my co-host on a little show called Foil Variant that he and I host every Thursday, where we just try to give you, intellectually honest comic book talk. So I thought, what better, who better to help me, talk to one of the living legends of our medium, one of the most prolific creators of our time than Andrew. And I totally messed up that gassing up. I gassed up our guest instead of you, but then I named you. This is going so terribly. Let's make it less terrible. Let's bring on our guest. How are we doing to Chuck Dixon, the man himself? How are you doing, Chuck?
Oh, we're doing great. And when that living legend shows up, I'll bow out. Okay.
No. Okay. See, you say this, but I didn't know this until we were getting ready to talk today. You wrote the Transformers Heart of Steel miniseries.
Yeah.
I genuinely didn't know that. Wow. And I have, since that came out, what was that, like 2008, 2010?
Sounds right.
I have been beating my chest, like beating the war drum for that series. Anytime Transformers comes up, anytime the comics aren't that great, I go, they're not, but sometimes you get a little gem like Heart of Steel. So no, you might not say it, but I'm going to say it. I'll lavish that upon you. Yes, guys, you guys might know Chuck. He is, as I said, super prolific. Got his start at Marvel in the 90s, or in the early mid 80s, I guess, 1984. Yeah. Mid 80s, started as a backup writer on Savage Sword of Conan. From there, went on to basically define the Punisher throughout the 90s. And then I would also say, sort of like, you did everything you possibly kind of could with him, right? Like you've explored the really good series. I know Punisher Max came in, and that was Rucka, I believe, or was that Rucka or Ellis?
Yeah.
Irish
Ellis?
guy. Ellis, right? Yeah. Right? I think that was him. I'm trying to get all of my cards back.
You'd be asking the wrong person, because I'm not a Punisher guy, but because Chuck wrote some Punisher, I have read some Punisher.
Right.
That is the extent of my Punisher.
And that's kind of what I was getting at, is like, if you guys go and read Chuck's stuff, he went and he did all these amazing stories. And then once Chuck was gone, once he went over to DC, Denny O'Neil tagged him for Robin, Punisher kind of got weird throughout the 90s, 2000s. Chuck, did you ever read the Demon Frank storyline?
Or like the Ghostbuster Punisher?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
You are genuinely not missing much. Like, to the point where Marvel doesn't even make that a costume or anything in any of their games. It was really bad. But from there, guys, you guys might know Chuck as the herald of Batman in the 90s, tackling Robin, Batman himself, Nightwing, creating Bane, creating Batgirl, or Stephanie Brown Batgirl, taking us through Nightfall, through No Man's Land. And then off of that, you guys might remember he went to CrossGen, tried out that stuff for a little while. Obviously, it went the way it did. made a brief return to DC around the time of like 1 year later, which I definitely think was them going, oh, we don't really have a lock on what we want to do here. We need to bring back Chuck, because there was that awful Nightwing storyline where Jason came back, but it wasn't Jason. It was a weird mud duplicate monster. It was really, really bad. And I think you came back right after that. And I went, oh yeah, they knew what they were doing wrong. But then of course,
Like,
guys,
send up the smoke signal. We need help.
Bat signal. Like they were looking back and they saw like Cataclysm in the DC offices, and they were like, we really need the help. And then of course, you guys know, in recent years, he's been, hitting the indie scene with things like Alt Hero, with the Rippaverse, and with today, you just dropped the book has been out for like limited physical release. You did a very nice, beautiful, like leather bound edition. Right. But today, Guns of Mars is completely publicly available, right? Like for the first time.
Yeah, on Kindle, paperback and a hardback edition will follow, but it's on Kindle right now.
That's what I was hoping to hear, that we were going to get some sort of physical edition. Absolutely. Because I mean, Andrew and I here, we are true believers in the whole, physical is king, especially if you're dorks like us, where even if you're just showing it off, right? You're like, look at that nice omnibus that I'm never going to open, but it's right there on my shelf. So
I used to say only your friends steal your books, but Amazon will steal your books.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't even. Yeesh. So speaking of books and not stealing things, but rather like paying homage and tribute to them, walk us through Guns of Mars, because I know Guns of Mars is sort of a take, or rather, it's not a sequel, but it's like a play on Edgar Burroughs and John Carter of Mars, but Cal is the protagonist. Cal is more of a hard-edged John Carter. I would, at least from what I was reading, from the previews I was reading.
Well, we have it's kind of it's set 1,000 years after the Burroughs novels. There's none of the recurring Burroughs characters are in it.
I wasn't sure if it was like actually connected, or if it was one of those things where you were going it's just
I get to go to Barsoom.
Legally distinct.
Yeah, and Burroughs made it clear in his novels that Mars was a dying planet.
Yes,
and this is 1,000 years later. Things are really desperate. Cal Kedak is a Thark. He's on the run because he did something back at his tribe they didn't like, so he's got to take off before they take his head. And they put a bounty on him, and he's being pursued by this nameless bounty hunter. So think of John Carter of Mars as a spaghetti western, and that's pretty much what you got here.
That's exactly. I was kind of getting a little like John Carter plus Dark Tower, even though I know Dark Tower doesn't really play into it. It's that just the visual of like the cowboy is what like popped into my head following.
Yeah. So if you think of it like that, and it's a book I've wanted to write for the longest time. So
I actually want to ask you about that, because Guns of Mars is brand new. You haven't written a story in this line before.
No,
but I do know that back in the 80s, you wrote a little comic book with your ex-wife Judith called Evangeline, and the first volume of that was Guns of Mars. So could we expect to maybe see a little pop-up of them coming around, or is there going to be any little link to that?
No, it's just
you just like the name.
Yeah, I like the name, and actually I had this Barsoom book in mind even back then. And
I believe you. Yeah,
I had the title in my head, and then I thought, well, let's just call first, because I may never get to write that novel, so let's use the title.
It's kind of exactly what I was going to ask you. Is like you were going, well, I want to use it, might as well get it out now. But now you get to actually use it for what you want. I know Joe Bennett provided the cover illustration, and does he do the little? What do you call the illustrations in a book? I guess just illustrations. Like
the leather bound edition, which has already been out.
Yes,
that has illustrations by Adamir Leal.
Oh wow, okay,
but Joe did this, and then Wilson Levi he basically turned it into a painting. So it looks exactly like Bennett stuff, but with that like Franzetta painting sheen to it, which is. It looks fantastic. It looks incredible. I know it's been out, but you guys can go get it now. $5 for your Kindle edition. Obviously, Chuck will let us all know, and we'll probably let you all know when the physical copies come out. Chuck, do you have more planned in Guns of Mars, or do No, I got this one out of my
Just
system.
one and done.
It's like when I wrote a zombie novel called Gomers, and that was it. I got it out of my system.
I mean, I feel like that's sometimes better for creators, right? Like Andrew and I talk about this all the time. Sometimes some creators, maybe they just have like one or two stories in a genre or with a character. But if you assign them on like an ongoing and they run out of it, then you start getting into really weird territory where they start introducing random things or trying to retcon things for shock value. And it just completely explodes on them. I mean, it
begins to consume itself and then it's no good. It gets tired.
It gets tired and it gets kind of insulting to the rest of us, right? Because we just go, we know what a zombie story is. We know what a like space noir, not noir, but space pulp fantasy is supposed to be. And once you start throwing in like, we're going to, I don't know, the dubstep planet or something, and it's like, what are we even doing here?
That sounds like nightmare fuel. I think we can live without that.
I'm very happy that I think we're out of that phase of like dubstep and weird like overt electronic music on everything. I caught the Teen Titans Go to the Movies movie last night. Don't ask me why. But there's a scene in it where they like Jor-El, they go back to Krypton when it's blowing up, and Jor-El is trying to like use the crystals from the what's his name's movie? The Reeve movie, the first Reeve movie, and he's like, "Oh, I can't. Nothing's going to save Krypton." And the Titans go, "Well, you got to play the right music." And it's just like a 4-minute dubstep scene, and it was like the most painful thing I've ever sat through. And so it's definitely on my mind right now. But also, before we move on from Guns of Mars, because Hibiki brought up. Is there an old movie of John Carter from Earth? I don't know about John Carter from Earth, but I know Disney tried their hand at a John Carter movie a decade ago.
Yeah, Chuck, they blew it.
Yes, that's what I was going to ask. Did you ever see it, and what did you think of it? Because I don't know anybody who saw it for good reason.
I mean, the guy that made it claimed he was a huge fan of John Carter, but then he got everything wrong. So I don't get it.
It was like the casting of the lead guy, like visually, that's what they nailed. And I went, okay, cool, we've got this. But then Deja was completely changed. Everything was changed. It was a nightmare. And it was a bummer too, because like, we all know the executives of these studios where they go, oh, nobody liked that, we're never going to touch it again.
Right.
Which is, it's a shame. Well, I mean, I guess it's not a shame because it opens up the floodgate for you to come on in with Guns of Mars. But aside from Guns of Mars, of course, you are highly prolific over at the Rippaverse, where things are kicking off like crazy. Your current book right now is Great War of Separation #3. I know this is sort of like the big overarching backstory to the Rippaverse, correct?
Right. Hey, did we hit 3,000?
Yeah, look at that. 3,300.
Past 3,300.
Wow.
We've got like a little over 2 weeks left for everybody to go contribute. I'm not surprised we're hitting that. We've got these wonderful covers from everybody. If I can pull them up. Oh, that's the low quality one, but it'll work for the stream. You've got cover A, cover B with the what do we call those? Like the retro text ones? They're my favorite ones that you guys
the retro covers. Like 70s Marvel covers. I love them.
They're my favorite of the ones you put out. Like you guys especially know what you're doing, like how to nail them, what they're supposed to look like. And then you've got the embossed what do you call it? Virgin
foil and embossed.
Foil. Yeah, which is like, if you guys haven't gotten any of these from the Rippaverse, I actually have the Horseman one, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but that thing is beautiful. Like, I love foil covers, variant covers, and that thing moves me to tears. It's so good. And then you got cover D, so go check out whatever you want. But Chuck, how has it felt sort of hoping to build out a brand new comic book universe? Because I know you handled Punisher over at Marvel, and then you handled the big part of the DC universe with Batman, but here you're kind of coming in like complete ground floor. Like they're almost sort of saying, here are our ideas, can you make them work? How like, what's the experience of that like?
Well, that's pretty much always comics. Here's a bunch of characters and here's where they live. Now dramatize it, populate it with other characters. The thing with Rippa is I'm here at the very beginning. When I start writing about Gotham City, well, it's been, when I got on it, had been around for 75 years. So, but here it's from the ground up. And I had an understanding with Eric from the very beginning that I'm just going to write. And if I get something wrong, you tell me. I don't mind rewriting. I'm real flexible, but I'm just, going to go crazy, and you rein me in if you need to. And I don't think there was any instances where that happened, because, like I said, this is the beginning of a new universe where all of the creators are establishing things for the first time. So there's plenty of room to play, and for a new universe, it's a very deep universe. So there's plenty of we're never going to run out of stories. There's plenty of things to explore here.
I mean, to that end, there was, and Andrew, you might be able to like shoot it and find it exactly for me, but there is like a new graphic for the Rippaverse that has like all of your current characters, I think up to right before Blue Shift. But I was looking at it the other day and I went, wow, it actually is now starting to look like a full-fledged comic book universe, in the sense that, I saw Alpha Core, and then I saw Blood Ruth, and and they're all in different styles, a cowgirl, a traditional superhero, but they all fit. They all like felt like they were together. So I was like really impressed, like, oh, wow. Not that you guys weren't doing it before, but that was sort of like my first, like, oh, that's right. We're in the big leagues now.
Yeah.
So I like that note you said where, you told Eric you were just going to write and he's the one who has to come back to you. Is that typically how you got to work over at like the big two? Or is it more of a, like, we need you to hit all of these right away and you're in trouble if you don't do it?
No, it's, I've always, I've very seldom ever pitched to get a job. Usually they would say, hey, you want to write Green Arrow for a while? And because Dixon was a known quantity. They knew what I could do.
Oh, absolutely.
They knew, like I said, I was flexible. If there was a problem, hey, we can talk it out. They knew I didn't need my hand held. I was going to hit my deadlines or exceed my deadlines every single time. So that's how I would get to work. I mean, the only characters I ever campaigned to get on were Conan and the Punisher.
And that was at the very beginning, right?
At the very beginning.
Like, that's what I was going to ask. Like, wow. Because, then Denny got you for Robin, and then it was sort of off to the races from there.
Yeah, I mean, they came to me for Robin, and I'm like, let me take a look at it. And we met, and I'm like, let me see if I have some ideas, because I never say yes right away. I gotta let me see if I actually add value here.
Oh my goodness, that's so rare to hear. Yeah,
because then we worked it out from there. Because if I'm not enjoying myself writing it, if I don't feel comfortable, if I don't feel like I'm conversant with the characters, it's not good for me. It's definitely not good for the readers.
Oh yeah, because we will be able to tell, right? That's sort of like,
oh yeah, you can tell when a guy's just phoning it in.
There was. Oh man, I wish I could remember exactly the name of the writer, but I read a story about somebody who came on to, who wrote Demon in a Bottle? Does anybody remember that off the top of their heads?
Oh,
for
Lord.
Iron Man? We'll
God.
Google it. One of the three of us will have it in a second. Demon in a Bottle. So that was Bob Layton. That's who it was. Bob Layton. I was reading a thing with Bob Layton the other day where he was saying, when he got tagged to write Iron Man and, do Demon in a Bottle and all that, he initially was like really not upset, but he was like, I don't care. Like, I don't like Iron Man. He's, just like, he likes to make a bunch of weapons.
You want writing the character, right?
Right. So Layton goes on there. And what happened was he went in for the first few issues. And if you go and read them, you can tell it's kind of, getting by sort of issues. And then he says, he started connecting with that like alcoholic flaw of Iron Man, not so much the alcohol, but like the doubt and the, imposter syndrome and the pressure. And that allowed him to see Iron Man as more of a human and connect with him and give us some of those great stories. And that's all to say, or where I'm going with that is, did that ever happen to you, Chuck? Did you ever get a proposal from, DC or CrossGen or Marvel, and they said, do this character, and you went, okay, I will, but you were hesitant, but then you found out you really clicked with them?
Yeah, generally I would turn down jobs if I thought, because I'm thinking somebody else would write it better than me.
Oh yeah.
Now when Bob Layton was doing Iron Man, this was in an era when there were characters no one wanted to write.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, no one wanted to write Spider-Man. No one wanted to write the Hulk. You sort of had to be dragooned into writing these characters.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And you either got into it or you didn't. I mean, but I found if you give me a chance, I can get into anything. I used to write children's books before comics.
Right.
And they pitched me on writing a Raggedy Ann and Andy book. I'm like, what? Raggedy Ann and Andy?
Raggedy Ann and Andy? Yeah. Like,
I don't know anything about them. So I look into it and everything else. And I was like, yeah, I think I can do something here. So I do it. And I'm writing this damn story and I got tears in my eyes. I'm so engaged with these characters. I'm getting way too into it. So, you know, I can see what happened with Bob, where, you know, he's all of a sudden these characters come to life in his head.
Right.
But that happens all the time. Even when you're working on a character, you know, you love. I mean, I got signed to write Batman. It's like, wow, I've read Batman. It's intimidating.
I'm sure.
But reading it and writing it are two different things. I mean, I got to make Batman come alive in my head. And that took a little while till I got really, really comfortable writing Batman.
Yeah.
So I more got comfortable writing Bruce Wayne. And then that was my road into writing Batman.
I can see that too, because you went, you know, Robin, Nightwing, then to Detective. Well, Nightwing Detective was around the same time, right. But I can see that sort of, you know, it's easy to go to Nightwing because, okay, I got Robin, I can get Nightwing, but now you're going to the big leagues and you're like, well, you're putting detective comics on me. Like, this is your big thing. And obviously, as history has shown, you killed it over there with Nightfall and Cataclysm and all that stuff. Okay, I want to get your thoughts on this, just because it popped up in my head because we're talking about Stephanie, or like your work, and it made me think of Stephanie Brown. Andrew, you and I bring this up all the time. Did you ever, Chuck, what did you think? I don't know if you ever caught this, but did you ever catch the Robin timeline from the New 52?
No.
Okay, so when they rebooted the New 52, it was supposed to be a full like revamp, but Grant Morrison and Jeff Johns were in the middle of their Batman and Green Lantern runs. So DC went, we can't end them. We're just going to let them keep going, but play them into New 52. So then they released a timeline that was like, everything was only supposed to have been existing for like, what was it, Andrew? Like 3 or 4 years.
So in terms of like the Batman timeline from like the start of his career to like present as New 52 kicked off. So mind you, there's already a Nightwing. You've got Red Robin. You've got Red Hood. It was like a 3-year period. It's like, how did Bruce go through so many Robins?
It's like Dick decides to go out on his own. 1 month later, Jason, you know, gets recruited into be Robin. 3 months later, Joker kills Robin. A week later, Tim Drake figures out the identity of Batman. Jeez. And it was bad. Jeez. It was just throwing it all together. But
yeah, they're like condensing decades worth of storytelling and lore building into just a couple of years, and it doesn't work that way. You can't do that.
Oh, speaking of, I don't know if you, obviously, I know, Chuck, you are probably rightfully so disconnected from everything that's currently being published. They just updated the timeline where Stephanie Brown and Cassandra Cain no longer arrive during Cataclysm. Huh. They arrive like years after the fact. Like, Barbara goes Oracle, she gets her legs back, and then she like hangs up the cowl again to just be Oracle, and then those two show up.
Jeez.
Right? And that to me is kind of what Andrew was saying, was like, you spent all this time building out, you know, Stephanie's history and Bane's history and all them, only for them to kind of screw it up like really, really hard for no, like they didn't even try to integrate it. They just said, oh, they're here now.
You know, these are the things that are kind of best left ignored and let the fans create their own continuity. I think we all have our own continuity in our head for these characters, so why mess with it?
Oh, yeah,
I never understood codifying these things and trying to put them in timelines. I mean, obviously, Reed Richards can no longer be a World War II veteran. You know, I mean, come on. We're all grown-ups here.
I've never understood that too. Like, Marvel is probably the worst with it, where they go, oh, all of like Amazing Fantasy 15 to The Coming of Galactus was in a month. And it's like, that, how does that even make sense to us as human beings? Like, it's such a weird thing. And actually, that's an interesting topic I want to ask you specifically about, because Andrew, and you and I have been talking. There's a new Marvel event coming called Armageddon. Nobody knows what it is. Who knows? That's not important. But what is important is a lot of people were speculating, oh, you're finally going to reboot the Marvel universe, right? Kind of give it its own crisis. We're finally going to shake out all the dust, align things. And then they said, no, that's not what we're doing. We're actually really, really proud of the fact that we've never rebooted anything. What do you think is the best way to go about like having a long running comic book company and then going, okay, we have some things we got to, clean up. Things are getting a little messy. Do you think it's better to just pretend like everything has always been going like Marvel does, or give like a really big like reset moment?
Yeah, I think, I don't like the reset moments because that puts editors in charge of everything.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
I mean,
editors
when they
and
did
then, like the marketing departments and everything.
Yeah, everybody gets their 2 cents in, and they're not creatives. They don't.
No.
And I always thought when they did New 52, what they should have done instead of creating this monstrous Uber story for all of it, they should have just found 52 creative teams that were really hot for whatever it was.
Yeah,
you're handing them, be it Firestorm or Green Arrow, and just let them go.
That
just do something awesome. And I assure you, if they had picked the right people and married up the right creative teams, they would have had like a dozen hot titles.
Oh yeah, I mean, now that you think about it, and as somebody who like lived through that New 52, that makes me much more excited. Just this idea of like, okay, new jumping on points, I guess you could say, right? With these amazing teams. I actually do think that might have gone a little better because have you, I mean, I'm sure you guys have never encountered this, but there's that whole debate about why is it so hard to get into American comics? Oh, because there's so many of them and it's so confusing. And it's like, yeah, that's true. But think like I got into comics because I saw somebody said, oh, you like Spider-Man? Here's one. And then I just read. And then it's not that hard. Do you, or like, let me rephrase that. Do you guys think it's really that hard for a casual person to like follow along with or get into comics, if you will?
Well, when I was at DC, the edict was treat every comic like it's someone's first comic. Like they just pulled this thing off the rack at 7-Eleven and started reading it. And I always took that to heart. So I always made the openings of my stories engage you. I mean, you may not know who the hell the characters are, but I'll interest you in those characters by page 3. I mean, I might open up with, 6 cops beating the crap out of Polka Dot Man, and then you're going to go, well, who's that guy? What did he do? And that's enough. And it gets you in. Now, that might have been the middle story in a 3-issue arc, but I'm still going to draw you in.
Right.
And hopefully hold on to you through the whole issue. And I took that to heart, and it can be done. I mean, every comic was someone's first comic. I mean, and every comic that was someone's first comic was not number 1. It wasn't the beginning of something. It was in the middle of some dense arc, and then you just catch up because we're all comic nerds. We just sort of learn the language and go with it and roll with whatever. I mean, I'm old enough. I was around when Marvel started. So my first Spider-Man I never saw Spider-Man until issue 3. I never saw the Fantastic Four till issue 5. I didn't care.
Yeah, no, of course not. You're just going to go, oh, and see, like, even I know a lot of people will go, oh, but Chuck, you were only 5 or 3 issues in. But I can, me and Andrew, I know, Andrew, your big jump in point was 0 Hour or like the pickup from 0 Hour.
It was, Superman, Man of Steel, issue 0 and The Flash issue 0, which were the very first issues of those books after the 0 Hour Crisis in Time event, right? Like my dad got me those while we had just moved to a new neighborhood and in a new state. And we were just kind of like shopping around one weekend for, like yard sales and garage sales and things like that, just seeing what we could kind of like add to our new home. And my dad, who knew that I was enjoying the comic book medium already because I was reading Sonic comics, if I behaved myself while I was at the grocery store, I could grab a couple of those off the magazine rack, right? So naturally, I always behaved myself because I wanted more comic books. And so my dad introduced me to superhero comics via those 2 books, and those are far from the first issues of those series, right?
No, I mean, I can get you beat
and
too,
just
Andrew.
directly following a massive, continuity altering event too.
Here, you got thrown in the deep end.
I'll do you both better. I got thrown into like the Kraken's maw because my first issue, like my mom and I were walking. There was a comic book store in our neighborhood. We walked in. I was probably about 5 or 6. I like Spider-Man. I want a Spider-Man comic. Okay, pick one out. I grabbed
a bright yellow cover that had like a lenticular, or not a lenticular, but like the see-through first cover or whatever. And I was like, this one. That was the issue of Spider-Man where Spider-Man gives the webs over to Ben Reilly and exits the role. So I'm going in going, Spider-Man, what? Where's he going? Wait, where's he going? But of course, like to all of our points, I think I think a lot of people forget that factor of like what it feels like to get something to pique your interest, right? Because if I read a new series or a new comic, or or play like a new game or watch a new show, I might get dropped into the middle, but I want to know more, right? Like it's such a weird idea that people just won't want to know more, right? Like that's what it feels like to me. They'll pick up that issue in the middle of the arc and just go, okay, I don't know how we got here, and I don't care. It's like, well, like that's just not I've never heard a human being ever operate like that.
Well, but, there's got to be somebody who picked up a comic and it just sucked.
and that's actually, I mean, obviously that's happened for years and years. But to your whole point about pulling somebody in mid arc or mid issue, that doesn't happen a lot. Or like, how do I put this? A lot of books nowadays we can tell are written for the trade, which is it makes the month to month excruciating.
It does.
We Andrew and I were reading the new Eddie Brock Carnage series, and there were parts of it we were like, oh, there could be something here, and we'd get like one issue of that, and then it's an issue and a half of them like driving and like expositing, like it was a scene in a TV show, which in a show takes 5 minutes. In a book, I don't want to linger on this for a month and a half.
That's half your page real estate all of a sudden, right?
Yeah, so I do. Yeah, just you saying that and like relaying that bit of like info you received. Like
that's not how you write for the trade. That's not how. When we realized that the trades were here to stay.
Yeah.
And basically, you were looking at 6 issues. Well, how are you going to make those 6 issues stand alone as a trade? Well, it's not. It might be one big story, but every issue had to move the story forward. Every issue had to have something to make you glad you bought that issue.
And something at the end, right? To go, oh my gosh, I cannot wait until I get it next.
Right. So you have to think more in terms of like a James Bond movie. There's something happening every 15 minutes. Your story's in segments. But these stories where the whole issue is setting up for the next issue, and then the big fight takes up the whole final issue.
Yes.
It's like, no, that's not how you write for the trade. You're just lazy.
No, yeah, you're 100% lazy, and that always signals to me like, oh, you don't actually care about comic books. You want to write for like TV or film.
Yeah, but even there you're
got a gig.
Even there you're going to fail.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
When I first got to DC was a lot more of a tutorial place where they taught you stuff. That's Marvel, where they just let you sort of do whatever you wanted.
Really?
And hope the Catholic Church didn't ban the comic. So Paul Levitz was a big proponent of ABC storytelling. So you had a 3-level story. You had a story that was just beginning. You had a story that was in its middle, and you had a story that was coming to its end. And every comic had those 3 layers. And that was how you wrote for the trade. I mean, he laid down the groundwork, and he borrowed that from soap operas. The soap operas, they keep the pot bubbling. The story never ends. Goes on and on and on and on, but it's got to keep.
I didn't even realize. And like, if I'm thinking about soap operas, they all end with like that dramatic sting, right? No matter what it is, like she's back. Oh my God, you kissed them. Yeah.
So I mean, that's why I wrote things in Nightwing, like his mystery landlady. And it's like simple little things like that kept things moving, kept giving you the impression shit's happening.
Right. So, it gave you the impression that like the world was alive, and it wasn't just like, here is story, everybody goes away after story.
Right. And then you resolve that. He meets her, but in that same issue, another subplot is picking up steam.
Right. So but those ones are always like in the background, obviously, but you play on them, you develop them. Yeah, like you use them as good breaks to him swinging around Gotham. But too many writing for the trade. It's like A Few Good Men.
You've ever seen A Few Good Men?
Yep, absolutely.
At the end of A Few Good Men, Tom Cruise lays out what they're going to do. I'm going to get Jack Nicholson so pissed off on the stand, he's going to say something, and then we'll win the case. And then they go and they do that. That's not how you do that. There's no surprise there.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like we're going to rob this bank, and here's how we're going to do it. And then they show you do it, and there's no complication, there's no twist, there's no turn, there's no deconstructed plot.
So line. Like I'm a little bigger. Right. I remember watching A Few Good Men for the first time, and I'd only known that scene from like pop culture, from movies and stuff. And so I expected it to be this huge moment where like Tom's on his back foot. I've got you. Like I'm going to win this one. But it was so less dramatic when he's like, no, this is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. Oh, and he did it.
I mean, in old movies, they would go, this is what we're going to do. And then they fade out.
Yes.
But it's like everybody in that movie forgot the rules of filmmaking.
Well, it's kind of like, it's a weird, like, on one hand, these new writers don't understand like how to integrate all these things together, like dialogue and fighting, right? They'll go, oh, I wrote a bunch. Oh no, this is a comic book. Here's a bunch of fighting. Now let's get back to words. And so on that note, I like for a fledgling comic book creator, right? Like for example, Andrew here, would that be like one of the
fledgling is both hysterical because of my silly little pigeon comic strip with Marcos, our concept artist in the Rippaverse, so I'm going to take that as intentional, and in that way I'm proud of you. And the other piece
did my research.
Is that that's probably like almost gassing me up too much. Like I'm like an embryo is what I'm doing. I'm trying to be a sponge over here.
See,
you know, I'm blessed to be able to surround myself with such talented creatives and be able to, like, anytime that Chuck has been at the warehouse, be able to like pick his brain, you know, because it's one thing to have grown up with all of his work, you know, especially at DC on the various members of the Bat family. It's another thing to like hear him break down the creation of it, like the actual craft, the craftsmanship, right, that goes into that. And that's something that only comes from experience and, you know, and being willing to be teachable and trying to learn. Like Caro has been a great help with that as an editor for everything that I write, because she's constantly like poking me.
She is here.
she's there for Horseman.
Here for Horseman Dad Talk.
So she's always poking me and prodding me, and part of it's bullying, part of it's also like, hey, you're only going to get better if I push you, right? And that comes with, you know, trying things that you don't consider to be within your comfort zone, right? It's like, oh, if I feel like I'm really comfortable in this pocket right here, right? And so she'll say, okay, cool, so I'm going to push you over here and you're going to write something here, right? So that you kind of build, you know, a larger repertoire and skill set. And I'm just trying to do that. But, you know, thank God for, you know, talents like Chuck and, you know, him being so willing to share his knowledge. Like for Ask Chuck Dixon, like that's kind of my morning wake. You drop it like super late at night, like between 11 and 12. But I like leave the notification there and I watch it like when I'm waking up and sipping my coffee in the morning, right? So that's like, all right, so this is relaxing. I'm getting to absorb some of the craft, right? And it's really enjoyable. But that's something that I think everybody who aspires to be a creative should really try and take advantage of. Like if you have resources available to you, why play from behind when you don't have to? Take advantage of the tools.
No,
right?
Absolutely. And to that note, I would also say like the drive time Chuck ones, like I love those ones the most. I don't know why. Like the super casual ones, like I really, really dig those ones. I listen to all of those. But on that note, like, yeah, because obviously a lot of creators are going to come in with their own ideas, their own, you know, visions for how they want to do things. I guess, what is your best advice to avoiding that, the bad split, right? Like, I guess, yeah. How do you pace things right as a new creator? What's like the one piece, the one tip towards that end?
Well, you got to remember, for comics is a visual medium.
Yeah.
Comics is an immediate experience. every page, every panel has to delight, engage, has to make you laugh, scare you, make you think. Every panel is important. And it's not about the words. You should have just enough words there. You know, when I did Robin Year One with Scott Beatty, we wrote the script for the first one. And then we saw the artist who was going to be drawing it.
Right.
And we thought, we got to rewrite this. This guy's such an awesome visual storyteller. We're going to have these pages where there's too much talking, and it's totally unnecessary.
And it's going to cover up and distract. Yeah.
This guy doesn't have the character say, we don't have to have a character say, I love you. His face, the facial expression, this guy can pull it off. And we were so glad we did that. And, I mean, we did it for the rest of it. So
I think, you know, you bring up that kind of the facial expression thing. And I've been noticing a lot in modern comics, like a lot of panels could be, or like dialogue exchanges could be solved with a facial expression. But Andrew, like you and I know, these artists aren't always on, like, they're not always great. So you and I often go like, am I reading this panel right? Or is that expression wrong? What did they mean here? And yeah, like it's super confusing. So I'm just going to throw that out there as like a note for like on my end and ask for all of you out there. Make sure you can get an artist who can do like facial expressions and communicate that well, because
faces are a problem in modern comic art. I mean, so many of them are they're just kind of dead. They're you know, the artist didn't really think about nuance or I mean, I've worked with some guys that are just freaking amazing where the art comes in and goes, I'm just cutting this dialogue out. I mean, just almost nothing.
I mean, you've got Joe Bennett who could, I mean, I'm excited for someday. I know you guys are going to do like an artist only edition of Alpha Core or something. And it's going to look amazing because he's just that fantastic. Then you've got like, what's his name? Kanan's over there and Eddie and just, you've got amazing artists out there. But that's kind of the difference, right? Is you guys have confirmed talent. Like you guys ask them to, you know, what do you got? Let's see. You vet them. In these new comic creators, like in their faces, it really feels like they just learned how to draw.
Yeah.
And now they're, you know, okay, we can fill in. And so you've got weird proportions and things feel off. And it's not great in that sense.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of guys, I mean, we used to look at people's portfolios and I always said, you know, you're 20 pages away from being a good comic artist. You're 30. You just have to put the time in, you know, just keep drawing, keep doing the pages, but you're almost there.
Do you still do any portfolio reviews? Like just on your own, of course. I know not.
I get people send me artwork all the time. I get emails and Facebook messages all the time. Look at my artwork, look at my artwork, look at my artwork. Because, you know, they think that like I'm going to hire or I have a say. You know, I very rarely have ever had a say. I've had to like at DC, I had my say for a little bit of a while because they really did me wrong on something. And I made a deal with them. And I said, I want these 6 projects with these 6 artists. And then we're cool. And so they did that. So,
dang.
But generally it's like whoever. You know?
I kind of like that idea of you going in, just like laying it on the table and being like, we're doing this or it's not happening.
They really did. So I can't talk about it.
I wasn't going to press.
And I'm like, nah, you know, and they were like, oh, we'll remember this and we'll take care of you. And I said, well, I know what an editor's promise is worth. I need something in writing.
Zilch. Like I want this on paper, like in a contract.
And I said, look, the 6 things I want, they're only going to make you money. It was one of them was Batman Predator 3.
Oh,
the other one was Joker Devil's Advocate. I forget what the other 4 were, but they all made money.
There was a bunch during that time.
Yeah, it's like I'm not looking for a vanity project. You know, I'm looking. You know, I just have these things I really want to do, and you keep saying no.
and now that you've screwed me, if you want like the guy who's got you right now, like you are like Batman was the 90s. Like I would chance to say like you are DC in the 90s. And are you gonna like throw out this cash cow, if you will, or the success cow rather? That sounds better. I saw an interview with James Cameron the other day where he was recalling that when he was pitching Avatar and trying to get investors, some Hollywood exec came in and was like, we're interested in releasing your movie. And they talked and the exec was still like, I don't love it, but like, we still want to acquire it. And James went, here's the deal. You either love the movie right now, or you never get to say like, look at what we did. I can't believe this was great. And the guy went, we're not going to do that. And so James was like, get out. And Yeah, history is history. I just
don't get me started on Hollywood producers.
Oh, I can't.
Dumbest people walking the planet. It's a wonder they can feed themselves.
Who ties their shoes for them?
I mean, you obviously have like firsthand experience, but I even remember the Sony Pictures leaks from what was that, 2013 or whatever, when North Korea got into their servers and they got all those like executive emails about them brainstorming. They were some of the like my faith in humanity fell out of me. I was like, how do you people? Yeah, Chuck, like breathe, put on your pants. The one that always sticks out to me was the email from like a big like CEO or something, or not the CEO, but somebody up there, and was like, I'm hearing that, the Snapchat thing is a big deal. Maybe Spider-Man in the next movie can have a Snapchat where he interacts with his followers, right? Spider tag or something. And I was just like, there's no, like, this has got to be fit. Like, you've got to be playing with me. I didn't think anybody actually talked like that. Like, that's actually genuinely insane.
I got two stories. One happened to me and one I just heard.
Hit us.
When they pitched Walking Dead to NBC as a series for NBC, NBC said, well, could they solve crimes? And then another one, I was doing a graphic novel based on a movie treatment, and it was from a big producer and a big screenwriter and everything else. And I'm looking at this thing, and it was a piece of crap. And I said, you know what would make this movie 1,000% better? If it had a downer ending. And the guy said, no hit movie has ever had a downer ending. And I'm like, oh my God. Chinatown, Easy Rider,
so many
Empire Strikes Back, Casablanca. You think that was a happy
right?
ending?
Yeah, Casablanca, easy.
It's like some of the greatest movies ever made had downer endings and had huge box office because of it. And this guy is like, it's like, okay, I'll just do it.
Yeah, I mean, that's so
don't listen typical.
To me. It's so weird that Hollywood. I feel like as a Hollywood exec, you have to have a lobotomy. Like some part of your brain has to be removed. That's like common sense, like connecting with the people. Just like think about what your audience wants. So on that note, I actually did want to ask you, with you being, so core to Batman, what would you like to see from a future Batman movie? Whether it's in, Gunn's universe, whether it's the Reeves sequel or something completely new. Like, what's your perfect or ideal live action Batman?
I'd just like to see something closer to the source material.
Yeah.
Stop being so afraid. I mean, the initial success of Marvel and inarguably Marvel ruled the roost. Marvel was making the best.
Oh, absolutely.
Movies
because
they weren't afraid of look how long they resisted putting Wolverine in his original costume. And then, of course, everybody went freaking nuts over it.
Right.
Yeah, and Deadpool Wolverine made $1 billion, right?
Yeah, and it's like, just trust the source material. And, of course, Marvel doesn't even do that anymore. No, so they put everybody in black,
Well, yeah, they're going back to, like, the X-Men days, right? Like,
and the reason why they did it back then was because they weren't sure. I can understand that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And X-Men is X-Men. It doesn't really matter with costuming, what you put them in. But you just and DC is so frightened of the source material. Just trust it. Yeah, it's a little goofy, but that's what people like.
Exactly. Think of like all the other big franchises that blew up with normies, Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. Like they've got. If I went to somebody and I said, "Hey, do you want to hear a story about a little short hobbit, walking across a magical field to drop a ring in a volcano?" Everybody's going to go, that sounds dumb. Or, oh, there's a big connecting, sort of like quasi-religion that connects everybody. And also there are light swords.
Right.
That sounds dumb. But it's sort of, you just got to play it straight. You just got to be earnest to yourself, right? And the audience will pick up on that. Kind of like what you and I were talking about with the writers, where if you're not behind the character or if you don't care about the character, everybody will pick up on that. And that'll make us go, why do I care? Why should I care? You don't care. This sucks. But if you're at least like, hey, I know this is goofy, but come along. We're going goofy. Everybody will go, okay.
Earnestness is the most important thing. I related on Facebook today a conversation my son and my wife and I had about the movie King Kong. And my wife said, why didn't they just bring back a dinosaur? If the island was covered with dinosaurs, why did they bring back the meanest creature on the island? And wouldn't a dinosaur have been just as big an attraction? And I looked at both my son and I were like slack jawed. We were like, no one's ever asked that.
Yeah,
No.
like,
But that's
really
because
question.
King Kong is such a screwy idea. It's amazing it ever got made.
That's a good point.
That movie
yeah,
is nuts.
no, it actually is kind of insane. Yeah,
Yeah.
Like, even the whole like or like holding her as bait or whatever. Like that's a genuinely
everything
insane
about that
scene.
movie. I can't. The pitch meeting, man. They must have all been drunk at that
Well,
pitch meeting.
they were drunk. They had opium back then. Like,
Yeah,
they were going crazy.
I mean, I love the movie. I love the movie.
Absolutely.
But the thing is, what you're saying, the earnestness and the presentation and just throwing it out there, you don't even ask any questions. You don't even go, why the hell are you doing this? That doesn't make sense. This is crazy.
If you're, it's sort of like as the director, you're directing the ride, almost, right? Like you're supposed to guide everybody through it.
You're creating the reality.
Yeah, that's the best.
You're in charge of the dream.
Yes, that's a way better way to put it. See, Andrew, I might need to replace you with Chuck. He's even better at like summarizing my babbling.
I can't even take offense to that.
No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. You're on notice for foil variant.
No, you can't afford me.
No, actually, yeah, no, that's unfortunately true. I know. But no, like it is really funny that they are going back towards like more generic costumes and stuff. I think it's got something to do, and maybe you could correct me. My theory is that it's like we want to separate from the comic book stuff as much as we can so that we don't have to pay you guys rights. So now it's all Disney stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. It depends. Marvel, forget it. Creators don't have any rights at Marvel.
Oh, I mean, did you just hear the whole story about Sarah Pacelli, the artist?
Yeah, it's like boo hoo hoo, join the party.
I know, yeah. It's
everybody's ever worked for Marvel's been screwed over the exact same. I had to sit in a movie theater watching a Punisher movie, and the frickin' scene is line for line, image for image, what me and JR put down in the comic. And I'm like,
I don't even think you guys got like a special thanks.
I'm pissed
in that one.
And I'm like sad. And then the audience starts laughing at the scene. And I'm like, okay, I feel better now.
Like you guys completely butchered this one.
Yeah, the audience is digging it so much that I'm like, okay, I feel better.
They don't know it's my work, but
they don't know
they're enjoying my work.
They don't know.
Right,
yeah, exactly.
I'm your Gotham silent guardian, right? Like that's what you're doing.
But over at DC, now they're paying like, hey, we use this from the comic, we're going to pay you.
Which is actually crazy because like one of the stats I read was like Sarah got no money off of Miles Morales. What's his name got like he gets like $10,000 every time Lucius Fox appears in an episode of a cartoon, which is absolutely bonkers. Which I know for a while they were rough with royalties because I remember you actually came out, I think it was like 2021, 22 when you were like DC stopped paying royalties like internationally.
Like,
yeah, that was really, I don't know if it's resolved, but I know that
no, it's not.
It's still not. That's crazy.
They keep saying we're looking into it. Well, you've been looking into it for 12 years.
Right. Yeah.
I was about to say that's a really long time to be looking
into it. And
it's
like,
guys.
oh, well, and I said, it's in my contracts. It said international, and I sell way more in Europe than I sell here. So
right.
Pony up the cash, buddy.
I like to imagine Chuck is now like the big granddaddy master of DC. Like he can just walk in and he's got his big like fur coat and a big like DC bullet print like pimp hat, and he's just like, I want to write this, I want to do this, and they'll go, yes.
No,
I mean not anymore, but
that's
in my perfect world. In my perfect
yeah, that'd be nice.
But
they can't afford me either. So
look at that. Look at being able to say that. That is actually like so genuinely cool.
Being your own boss.
So speaking of being your own boss, I think it's probably about time. I know we touched on Great War of Separation. How are things at the Rippaverse? I know you've been super busy with Alpha Core, Horseman. What have you got on deck? What are you hoping to maybe throw out there in the future? Any and all that. And obviously, Andrew, you can keep him on point with your NDAs. But how's the Rippaverse looking for you, Chuck?
Well, much like when I was at DC, I've written beyond the schedule.
This is
so I've been told to sort of hold off till next year.
Wow, hold off. That's actually crazy.
Because at DC, they once told me to stop because I was you're deep into next year's budget and it's only April. So
and then they're like, you don't even know what crossovers we're going to force you to have to work with.
Well, yeah, that was another problem. But I worked around them because I worked so far ahead, I could work around them. It's like, I will move this. I'll write a fill.
Yeah. Oh, I'll just change this dialogue bubble to say, Superman.
Okay, you're gonna interrupt the 3-issue arc. I'll just write an extra issue, and then the 3-issue arc starts next month instead of this month. But more Horseman, more Alpha Core. I'm kind of deep into a story that it's not a crossover, but they relate. You can read them separately. You don't need to read them all, but they're all part of the same thing that's going on in Florida Spark, because Horseman lives there. When big stuff's happening, it's going to affect him as well.
Oh, and off of the last issue, just for a fanboy moment, I've been loving Horseman ever since that first issue. The whole thing with Hector getting the financier, or financier, I guess is what you could call him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, just there's a lot of intrigue going on there, and I'm super just how is Hector going to deal with that going forward?
Right.
Obviously no spoilers. I kind of am predicting or speculating he's going to have sort of a stripped down arc or moment where he maybe doesn't have all of his tools and has to go back to basics, but we see him sort of roughshod armor. That's what I'm excited for. I know you can't talk to anything about that.
Yeah. But bad stuff happens.
Yeah, absolutely. But
he's a continually deconstructing storyline, Horseman.
He actually kind of is, because you started him with, just the base sort of Punisher, and now you're sort of deconstructing more of Batman, but then also superhero in general, but not in the way
he's like a Home Depot Batman.
He kind of really is.
I really like that. Yeah.
What he's got to have, the horse-drawn cart, and it's just a shopping cart. Let's get that going. But I also know over at the Rippaverse, you guys are currently. Let me pull it up. There's a new animation thing going on. Andrew, do you want to talk about a little bit more about this? And then also, Chuck, do you have anything in progress? Are you working with them on anything here?
Well,
either or.
Let's go with Andrew, because now I'll learn something.
Yeah, I'll crack it off here. So, Rippaverse is basically our new kind of in-house crowdfunding platform for specific types of projects that exist outside the scope of our normal operations, like our book releases and things like that. So that way we can set aside more kind of direct funding for projects that it's okay, we want to actually feel out the audience and see if the audience is actually on board with this. And if they're not, then cool, it doesn't go through. We don't make it yet. Maybe we revisit that later on down the road. Maybe we sit on it for a while, think about, okay, so what could be done differently about this that makes it more enticing to the audience, and so forth. The animation fund, so this is to start trying to really build out our animated universe. So that would include Horseman, that would include things like ISOM, that would include things like Alpha Core, Yaira, and so forth. Not me over here advocating for Blue Shift as well, obviously. But, we've had really fantastic responses to the very brief animated shorts and trailers that we've done thus far for a lot of our book releases. I think the one for Horseman is our most popular one because of just the thing about
how rad it is.
Horseman is one of those, he gets into that archetype, right? That street level vigilante hero that's not afraid to get his hands dirty. He's a bit on the more brutal side, right? And he's just kind of kick ass, and people love that archetype. And the Horseman is a phenomenal addition to the library of that archetype. And you kind of have probably the best possible person writing that character, because he's written the other best entries in that archetype, right, throughout other publishers. And so the fans really latched on to Horseman so quickly, and it's no surprise to me that the Horseman animated trailer was so freaking popular. So we're really close to, we've only been doing this for, I think it was, we launched it Friday, last Friday.
Days.
Yeah, so less than a week ago, and it's already about to hit its first funding goal, which is 50K. So at 50K, that guarantees we do a certain set of projects. And then the goal will just increase from there, and we can, as that like reception continues to grow, we can adjust and be like, okay, cool. So now now that we have this type of interest, right, and this much funding to work with, now we can do this, or now we can do this type of thing. And that's, I think, a very safe bet, a safe way to handle that type of a thing, because animation's super expensive. People
really
don't realize how expensive it's, like good animation, right? Not just, throwing an image into whatever Grok or something and saying animate this, right? Like maybe that's fun for that might be fun for your own personal like little gifts or something like that on your phone, whatever. I don't care, but like nobody's going to pay.
You don't want to sell that,
right? Yeah, nobody's going to pay for that. Not if they have their head screwed on straight, right? So you want to put quality behind it, and that's something that we're absolutely aiming for here.
So with that, oh no, Chuck is gone. Maybe.
Can you hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you. Okay,
I don't know what happened to my camera. My camera went dead.
Weird. Okay, well, no worries. I just wanted to make sure we still had you. So
no, I'm still here.
All right, cool. We still have Chuck. So Chuck, obviously with them, launching more into animation, would you? And I know they're only talking trailers now, but would you want to maybe look more into doing something animated with like Horseman in particular, or Zaylin, or anybody?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to participate with something like that. That'd be cool.
Look at that. I would be. We need like a new DC AU, if you will, right? Like we need that, Andrew. So make it happen. You guys have all the characters ready to go. Where is that damn like?
I would absolutely be here for it. Trust me. If the funding is there, that is something we would absolutely love to do, because I think a lot of us that are part of the Rippaverse grew up in that kind of golden era of comic book superhero animation, right? I know I did. Like,
oh yeah,
Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, Batman Beyond, all of those, and obviously X-Men and Spider-Man, and shoot, even Avengers, Earth's Mightiest Heroes. There were so many fantastic animations of these characters a couple of decades ago, and then it just kind of fell off a cliff in terms of the animation. And so it'd be really nice to be able to take what we loved about those and say, okay, let's do that, but now in our world. And the thing that we're always hammering in on at the Rippaverse is like, if we do an adaptation of something, it is going to adhere to the source material. So obviously when you animate something, you're going to have to maybe add in some scenes. You got to pad it out, because
you're not going to shave Yaira's head on the side and turn Horseman super gay.
No, I don't see that happening anytime soon.
Sales aren't that bad yet, everybody. Sales aren't that bad yet.
So it'd be cool to be able to like have an animated series, like take Horseman's first arc, right, and animate that. That becomes that's like a season 1, right? Like that would be really rad to be able to do, and God willing, we'll be able to do something like that. And we've been able to foster great relationships with a lot of talent over the course of these first few years. Obviously Dean Cain, famously had said he'd do the Horseman voice, and in fact he narrated the trailer for issue number 2 for the ongoing. I had Jason Griffith voice my character for Zine 5, so I had the voice of Sonic the Hedgehog voicing my character, which was a huge blessing and honor. So we've got this fantastic pool of talent, right? We got the writers, we've got the artists, we have some fantastic animators at Rippaverse Studios. Now it's just like, all right, can we like build the funds? Is there a justified number of fans to be able to actually invest that kind of expenditure into it, right?
Well, it looks like you're well on the way. You've got 42,000 already, 42,800 of that. So really close to those 10 animated clips. I would be excited to see kind of any of that. While you were discussing that, Andrew, I was like, if you guys managed to get out even like a 15-minute Horseman cartoon, you would probably blow up the internet, like to steal a really outdated turn of phrase, right? Because none of that happens anymore. Even Invincible, right? Like that was the big one where everybody went, oh, yay, superhero animation. But recent seasons, regardless of whether you like it or not, like it looks bad. Like it's very badly produced. So kind of what Chuck was saying, any level of that earnestness or like quality put out there right now is going to it's going to go gangbusters. I feel like for anything you guys do, any of you or other, creators out there who might be watching either now or in the VOD, yeah, like Chuck said, it's that earnestness. Get it, hit that, and you're gonna be successful. I won't say do what you love and the money will come, but you'll at least be happy. Let's put it that way. We have a question from one of our users. What's up, most of Punk? Punk says, Chuck, what mythologies interest you the most? The bandaged cover on the Great War of or the bandaged character on the Great War of Separation cover gives mummy vibes.
I was a kid. I was really into Greek mythology, the Iliad, the Odyssey. I love that stuff. And Norse mythology, which I read about as a kid, even before I saw the Thor comic book.
Yep. So, I knew that's what you were going to say.
Yeah, I got into all that stuff. So,
I remember loving Rome. I love Greek. I did get mad in like 6th grade or whatever when I learned that they were like the same gods and they just changed the names.
Romanized them.
Yeah, and I was like, that's not. Why did I learn 2 different like systems? That's not fair.
See, when I was growing up, we had all the Hercules movies, and we went to the movies and saw all these sword and sandal flicks. So we knew all of these. We knew, Damien and Pythias. We knew all these characters.
Right. See, so. I think for like what, Andrew, you and I, we were more of the like sci-fi generation, I guess. Right? Like we had like episode 1. We had all the Star Wars derivatives. Like I know it's not great, but like Lost in Space, that movie reboot or whatever. So I feel
the one with was it John Hurt? It was
yes, I want to say because there's Galaxy Quest, which is the one that's like a parody of it with Tim Allen,
which is like a parody of that and Star Trek kind of. Yeah, I guess yes and no, because I'm very blessed because I got to enjoy like a lot of current stuff as a kid, but also my parents exposed me to a lot of older stuff, so even though I was born in the late 80s, I was listening to older rock music. I was listening to, Huey Lewis and the News and James Brown and, all these guys that are, well before my time.
So when you were in like 3rd grade, did you have any friends that were your age?
I was homeschooled.
All right, there we go.
I was homeschooled up through 8th grade, so like that's that would maybe explain that. But you know what? You shush. But so I also got to watch and enjoy a lot of older movies, and I grew up watching a lot of Star Trek: The Next Generation with my family. Oh yeah. I watched Xena. Warrior Princess. I watched all sorts of cool TV shows, but I also got to be exposed to a lot of really older, cool older movies. Like my family owns the complete DVD collection of the Marx Brothers. And wow. I adore those movies. Like that is my standard. I literally can't watch comedies. And like I stopped watching comedies like around high school because just none of it was funny.
None of them can compare to the
they couldn't. I was like, I'm not going to bother. Like, I'll just, even though I've watched Duck Soup 18,000 times, I'll just watch it again and I'm still going to laugh my butt off.
That might be the first time anybody like under the age of 90 has referenced that movie this like century. That's crazy.
I had a conversation with a woman once at a supermarket, and somehow the subject that her kid wouldn't watch anything that wasn't in color. And I said,
wow.
I said, you're cheating your child of the Marx Brothers?
Oh, gosh, that's
and
tragic.
She realized what she had done.
She understood the error of her ways.
You saw the next day, like at the pawn shop, like getting rid of all the DVDs, the like television. We're going back.
There's just so much quality there, right? It doesn't have to be the fanciest thing in the world to still be a great piece of art and a great piece of entertainment.
Well, we showed our kids everything. I mean, our kids would watch Buster Keaton silent movies. They loved them. So, because I wanted them to not have that prejudice. This is from before 6 months ago.
This is old, dumb. Yeah.
The Dictator, right? Like,
obviously, Charlie Chaplin. I thought I had his. I was about to call him Charlie, like Chazavier, and that wasn't right. And I was like, hold on a second.
Oh my gosh.
But all right, let's see. We are about an hour in. I guess we can probably start winding down. Just to close out, Chuck, whether it's comic books, movies, whatever, what are you excited about right now? What are you into right now? What are you looking forward to? Just whether it's do you have a vacation, something coming out, any projects? What's going on in the life of Chuck?
Well, I've always got projects, and I got a couple of movie deals hanging. The lawyers are talking now, so
beautiful.
That's always exciting.
Can be.
Yeah, as far as I don't know. I'm just and I've always got projects going. I always got something going there. But usually at this stage I can't talk about any of it.
Of course, yeah. No, I kind of got that. But so I guess I'll switch it slightly. Are the three of you doing anything exciting for Christmas, or just hanging out at home?
Where my youngest son's fiance is coming for the first time. There was much panic and stress on the part of my wife to get the house ready. So she keeps talking to my son about first impressions. So,
and you're like, I'm just gonna wear all my old Batman gear.
Yeah, and she's like, we don't want her to think we're crazy. And I said, okay, I'll keep my office door closed.
But see, isn't that like that's your right? Like as a father to make the fiancés and everybody go, what? Whoa! Like my dads go out of my dad goes out of his way to make sure that he brings up like the most embarrassing thing. Well, like I'll walk in the door and he'll be like, "Oh, you guys made it." It's so nice to see that you've come so far from when you used to, wreck one car on average a month, and it was like, what? I don't need this right now.
That is one of the joys of being a parent, though, right? Getting to do that.
100%, exactly. Like that's why I'm like, Chuck,
we lose them sleep in our first couple of years, then they get to make us feel a little uncomfortable in our life.
If you can't mess with your kids, what's the point of having them?
So. Right? No, 100%.
Extra work around the house.
I was gonna say like extra labor for the field. That's exactly what I was going to say. But Andrew, I think that's about all of the like prepared topics I've had. Anything you want to talk to Chuck about? Anything you want to bring up?
Oh gosh, without I guess going on an Andrew Chuck Dixon fanboy rant, I guess I just want to.
That's why you're here.
I do that literally every Thursday on our stream. So I just want to kind of like pick your brain a little bit further when it comes to because something you were super famous for when it came to your work on the Bat family was, and you've touched on this a little bit before on other streams and on your own show, but the logistics, like the building out and making a world feel real. That's something that I always pick out as a key, like a hallmark thing of you talk about, you often use the term invisible hand writing, right? Yeah. Where it's like somebody shouldn't necessarily be able to tell that it's you and that it's like your voice speaking through the characters. The characters should be speaking for themselves for the most part, right? But an aspect that I do really always attribute to you, and maybe because I was reading your Bat family work at such a formative age, is like that logistical stuff, like building out and really like how does this stuff work? What's Batman doing when this is over here and yada yada? Like what? Because not many writers actually do that still to this day. There are a lot of writers that don't make a world feel lived in. And what is it about that you saw as not being done often enough that said to you, okay, I really want to make this world feel way more real, because it's already a fantastical world, right? The premises are on paper already, ludicrous, right? But you can bring people in and kind of levy that disbelief by giving them believable things to latch onto. What can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, I mean, I read, back when I was a fanboy, trying to break into the business. Now I'm a fanboy who's in the business. I read about in the early 1950s at Fawcett Publications, they did Captain Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel, blah, 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 blah. The guys that were in charge of Captain Marvel Jr. decided that the small town that Freddie lived in, they wanted to make it seem more real. And so they actually made up maps, and they made up consistent street scenes, and his house always had to look the same, and his school always had to look the same. And these were all given out, and they were style guides. And that really made a big impression on me, because they thought if you were more from you would be more drawn into his world if you recognize, like when he went to a restaurant, it was always the same one. When he talked to the guy at the newsstand, it was always the same guy. And that made a big impression on me. So particularly when I got involved with Batman, it was like, I'm going to start naming streets. And I'm going to start naming, like, the department store chain in Gotham is going to have a name now. And whenever we refer to a department store, it's going to be that one. So I just went on. I went crazy. And luckily, my partner in crime, Graham Nolan, was as into this as I was. And Graham drew up all kinds of style guide drawings on his own to maintain our consistency. I mean, we came up with the stripping post. We came up with the Iceberg Lounge, the Westward Bridge, which was an inside joke with Graham and I, because Denny O'Neil hated the Batman 1966 TV show. Yeah. And he didn't notice the Westward Bridge was Adam West, Burt Ward. So I snuck all kinds of Easter eggs like that on him based on the 66 show. But and to me, it just made it seem more real. You know, it more consistency. Like when I created Bloodhaven, so I got to create a city from the ground up. I really went crazy. And I made it so that all the cross streets were either whaling terms or the names of a crime writer.
That's
so you'd have like Whaling Avenue. That's cool. Would cross with Woolrich Street, you know, and I just I went crazy there. And then, you know, working with Scott McDaniel, who has an engineering degree, so we really went to town on what that city looked like. And so to me, it just makes it more real and believable. And the thing is that I wasn't the only one really doing that, because Mike Carlin over in the Superman office, he was nailing things down. Like, you know, there's a brand of soda, and there's this and there's that, you know, chains, you know, I can't remember the name of the hamburger chain we came up with. O'Shaughnessy's, because it was named after Denny O'Neil's pen name. Denny wrote paperback novels under the name Seamus O'Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy's. And then I would make all kinds of IRA jokes in there. You know, they had the boom burger and the dynamite fries, and you know, so I mean, all that stuff was just a blast, and I think the readers dug it because it was fun. And I'm doing a lot of that with Rippaverse. I mean, Andrew can tell you, I've come up with company logos and soda logos, and I came up, instead of Buc-ee's, it's Froggies. You know, because
that's incredible. I've seen. Andrew showed me
put
that.
A Texas feel to it. So, you know, it just makes it live and breathe, and makes it more fun. And then the other thing, from the logistics standpoint, I mean, just for example, Graham was really into boats, and we wanted a bat boat, but we could never figure out how to make that work, because it's like you can follow a boat.
Like it's not very stealthy.
I mean, where are you going to put a boat? And then it was when we were doing the Bane maxi series that we came up with, well, if it was a submersible, he could leave the cave underwater and it just show up and get into the bay. Nobody could follow him. And so then we did that. And then for years I resisted the Batcopter. So that's just as ridiculous.
That is kind of,
helicopter. And then
and it's allowed,
it's loud. I mean, you know, there's no hiding it. There's radar. I mean, and so for Batman Predator 3, I had Rodolfo DiMaggio on art. And Rodolfo's favorite thing to draw was helicopters. And I thought, I'm going to break my own rule here.
We're going
to give the man what he wants.
Yeah. So he's like, you know, so we had a Apache helicopter was the Batcopter.
I also like that. Yeah, that little detail right there. You didn't just give him a Batcopter. If we're giving him a Batcopter, it's an Apache. Like we're not hanging out in a little.
And we're not playing around.
No. Rodolfo, you ask guys what they want to draw, and they'll go, "Oh, pretty women," or "I like drawing this, I like drawing that." I asked Rodolfo, because I always ask, you know, I'll try to put in what you really like to draw. And Rodolfo said, "I like to draw assault helicopters." And I said, "Man, oh man, where have you been all my life?"
He's been waiting for that too. He's like, when you gave him the okay, he went, my dream. I'm being paid to draw a helicopter. Oh,
well, we were, you know, the whole time we were on Green Arrow. If you look back through the Green Arrow, there's a lot of helicopters in those stories.
Now I have to go back and look at that. Now I'm gonna be going through every book you two worked on together, looking for all the helicopters. But So first, I love the image of just like a boat at a marine, like the Bat boat at a marina. Like where can we find the Batman? Oh, he's at slip number 42 or whatever.
Well, that was another thing. It was like the Batmobile. But one of my first questions when I got into the Bat offices at a Bat Summit, I said, the Batmobile doesn't make any sense. What if he got stuck in traffic? What happens when he leaves it parked?
Yeah.
And they said, well, we really don't think about those things. I said, well, I'm going to.
Yeah.
And I wrote a whole story where he leaves the Batmobile parked and a bunch of guys try to steal it.
They try to steal it.
We find out why you can't steal a Batmobile.
Because it has all those like anti.
Oh yeah, I love these guys up.
Issue.
I mean, they would never going to try to steal a car again. So I thought about, I like the answer when I said, the Batmobile. What about traffic and everything else? And Denny said, well, Gotham is like New York City in the 70s. Its population is half what it was a decade before. And I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yeah, that actually, and then that opens it up, and you're like, okay, yeah. So now it's not, because that's what I was imagining too when you said that. Like, I leave the Batcave, get on the on ramp, I'm immediately like, oh, I'm stuck. I got to hit the jets or whatever.
Now, one of the logistics things that drove me crazy, and they wouldn't let me solve, was after Cataclysm, Bruce has Wayne Mansion rebuilt. Mm-hmm. So we're at the summit, and I'm like, okay, so we're going to rebuild. You're going to bring in contractors to rebuild the mansion. I said, they're going to find the cave. How are they not going to find the cave? And they said, well, nobody had an answer.
It's not good.
I said, what if they rebuild Wayne Mansion off-site? They rebuild it like 10 miles away, and it's on like a 2-foot thick concrete pad. It's just resting on this pad. And then on the last day of construction, they're going to come in and they're going to finish a little trim or put a downspout in. And the construction crew shows up and the whole damn thing's gone.
That would be cool.
And Denny's like, well, how would that happen? I said, Superman
or call in Green Lantern.
I said he moves it into place. Denny hated that idea because you're bringing in those superheroes. You're bringing in superheroes to the Batman universe. This is blah, 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 blah.
But you're in the DC. Like, I get it, Danny, but also, like, you're in DC. This is what we do.
Yeah, well, he resisted all that stuff. I said, even a hint that it was Superman moved it into position, because otherwise this makes no sense. But
right.
They wouldn't let me do it.
Oh man, it could have just been that thing. Like,
so
I had help from like a friend, or we all could have like read into it. Yeah,
because it would have been so cool. You see like the architect, and he's there with the blueprints. He goes, "What's this opening here for?"
Yeah.
Oh, that's ventilation. That's something else. It's like it just. I mean, it still makes me crazy. Crazy.
I mean, it reminds me of how they explained it in the Nolan movies, where it was like, oh, I had a bunch of contractors come down here and burrow out the tunnels, but they all worked separately, and I never told them why. And I'm like, okay, but they still did it. Like, they still can go to the bar and be like, yeah, craziest job I ever did. I just blasted a wall under Wayne Manor for like an hour. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. Somebody's going to link onto that and like get you.
Yeah, we did a lot of steel work down there in that cave. It's like,
yeah.
It's like,
for what? I don't know.
For what? Yeah, it's just like, guys and their cave garages. It's very common. It's where we put all of our stuff. That's where our man caves go.
Yeah, Bruce has the best man cave of all time.
See, they should have done. I don't know if you remember it was either Breaking Bad or Better Call Saul, where they bring the guys in to build the drug lab.
Oh, that's in Breaking Bad. Yeah. Yep.
So they bring in foreign guys, foreign engineers.
Yep.
So
they have no idea. Yeah.
They
get out of there, and then they also kind of have like no specific idea of what they're building.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. No. That
was a brilliant solution.
Man, I kind of really like. Oh, I want somebody to make that
actually
happen.
makes me mad hearing about that.
I know, right? Like that's
like that would have been perfect. You wouldn't even have to like go crazy with the hinting of it having been Clark or one of the Green Lanterns or whatever. I mean, if you wanted to be both subtle and overt at the same time, if that makes any level of sense, you just a simple one panel of like Bruce on the phone just saying like thanks Clark or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need Superman does not need to make a visual appearance
that's what I pushed, but they wouldn't do it. Well, that was another one. That was another logistical thing. I never bought the Batmobile itself. I'm like, okay, world's greatest detective, world's greatest martial artist. world's greatest automotive engineer. Him
sure
and
about
Alfred
that.
built this thing from scratch in the cave. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying because it's like they just didn't build any car. They built the most awesome car in the world.
I was they built the car.
The car.
Right. So I wrote the story where he basically goes to Wayne Tech and sees, and he says, "Can I get one of them?"
Which is exactly what they.
But that's what they used
Dark
in
Knight.
Batman Begins.
Right. And Batman Begins when he says, "Do they come in black?"
Yeah.
I saw the movie and I'm like, that's my scene.
I did that.
I wrote that line.
Give me that. That's my money.
I didn't think anything more about it, and then I found out that someone got paid for Scarecrow, and I'm like, they didn't create Scarecrow. What was it about Scarecrow they got paid for? So then I called Paul Levitz and I told him, and he said, "Yeah, you're right. They sent me a check."
What's particularly insane to me about that is because it actually links into something I was going to say, which is the fact that Denny didn't let you do that one thing with the cave because of Superman is weird because your stuff has been so influential. Like even at the time, everything you were doing, it kind of was those things we heard it and we went, "Oh yeah, of course, that's perfect." And to this day, all of your Gotham world building, your Robin Knight world building, all of it is still in play. I know they just reprinted your Robin run, I believe.
They just reprinted Omnibus #1.
Yeah, they reprinted Omnibus #1. I went to my comic shop; they were sold out of it, and I know that it's younger folks who are picking it up because I have a little sister, and she grew up on Teen Titans, on Young Justice, so she's like, I want to eat up. What are the best Robin stories? And without fail, it's always. Here you go. Just go with Tim Drake Dixon. You're gonna be good here. So it's crazy to me that it's crazy to me that Denny didn't say no or yes. I get why, but
in defense of Denny, I mean things are weird at DC. They're probably still the same way. There's these weird fiefdoms. You have to guard them, and that's what he was doing. He was basically guarding his corner by not letting all the superheroes in. On the Batman stuff.
Oh man, I can also see that because if he lets that reference in, then everybody can start pulling from you guys too. And that
he spent so many years trying to get Nightwing back from Teen Titans.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Teen Titans editor was not letting Nightwing go.
Wow, that's so crazy. I mean,
then he had to keep making the case. No, he belongs back with the Bat family. So
were you pivotal in getting him back out there to the Bat family?
No. I just that was all 7th floor. Him pressing.
I just thought maybe it was I'll help you, Paul, and you wrote a quick 2-page story this is what Nightwing could do, and they're oh, never mind. This is
DC was such a weird because there was all these secrets. There's things I still don't know. It's we would go, well, what could I use this character? No one can ever use that character.
And you're what? They're from 1954 and nobody's talked about them. No. And it's well, this writer of Superman has a special thing he wants to do with him maybe in 4 years. And
I'll tell you, I pitched something in the 2000s and they said, no, we're saving that character for Mark Miller.
Oh my gosh.
Mark's over at Marvel. Yeah, but he might come back here.
No, oh my gosh.
So you're saving it for a you ready for it? A what if?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep,
what
there
else
it is.
World? Yeah. Do you think that's going to play
I had an editor tell a friend of mine who pitched something. He says, Yeah, we're gonna save this till we need a home run. I'm
oh my gosh. That seems so silly.
I pitched it right
Did
now.
Anybody in baseball ever say that?
It's no,
we're gonna hold off on you until we need a home run. No.
Yeah, how about we just have a home run now and then hey, if Miller wants to come back on over here, I'm sure we can find something for him to do too, right?
Right, you just let the lineup go. Yeah, maybe he'll get a home run and a single, but maybe that's crazy.
We lost too many home runs. That home run guy went home.
Nobody's buying home run guys omnibuses of Robin. Let's put it that way.
I guess not. I have one more question for you, Chuck, and this is something that Mav and I have spoken about before on our comic book review show that we have on Thursday nights. But I think this was brought up to my mind specifically now because of what you said about them DC wanting Nightwing to be over on the Teen Titans, but then Denny wanted Nightwing to be back over near the Bat family and things like that. And, you know, this kind of push and pull. I think that there's actually been a long running, and it's only gotten worse, honestly, issue with having super teams of characters that have one or more very important popular characters in them that already have like a solo or they're a prominent part of another book, right? And that you run into all these like timeline issues when you have let's just say you have Justice League going on right now, right? And so you got Batman, you got Superman, you got Flash, you've got one of the Green Lanterns, you know, Aquaman and so forth, but you've also got the main Batman book going on in the same month. You got the main Superman book and all these. Like, well, how are all these things happening at once? And I've always felt that it actually would make far more sense to stop making these big team books like long-running ongoings and instead have them be like minis or maxis that are kind of their own like parsed down events, right? Where it's like, hey, it makes sense right now. We've got this story we can tell, and and you can hype it up that way too, because then it's a limited series, right? And so that leans into what Marvel and DC love, which is new number ones, right? So you then have like a 6 to 12 issue series that, you know, brings the gang together. They handle business, and then they go back to their own corners for a while, because otherwise you just end up with this constant like, well, if Bruce is over here and Dick is over there and Tim is over there, like, who's watching Gotham right now? Who's watching Gotham that we care enough to read a solo on, right? And for it to make sense that these other characters aren't there. And the same thing with any of the other, you know, IPs within that. I just wanted to know your thoughts on that, because I think that would also help a lot with like characters not needing to like, oh, well, where's this character right now? Oh, well, we can't use them over here, blah, blah, blah. Like it would free up some of these characters a little bit too.
Well, they used to try to solve this problem by having the team crowded with like new characters or backbench characters, but then nobody bought the books because nobody cared. And then every few years, particularly at DC, they go, we're going to do a Justice League book, and it's going to have all the main characters in it. And then it sells like gangbusters. And then they begin seeding in characters nobody cares about, and the sales go down. They're like, oh, nobody cares about Justice League anymore. No. They're
learning the wrong lesson.
They only care if the Magnificent Seven are in it. They don't care if, you know, Pajama Boy and, you know, Pixie Girl are in it. They don't care about them. And but the thing is, you do run into the continuity problems. I did a story once, and they said, can I use the Justice League? And they said, yeah. I said, the whole Justice League? And they said, yes. Are you sure? And they said, yes. So I write it, and they go, oh, Wonder Woman's in Apocalypse. I'm like, okay.
Like, I asked you.
Yes.
I asked you, are you sure?
I know. But I agree with you, Andrew, that should be an event. You know, if the original Avengers are together for a 6-issue mini, if the original Justice League are together for a 6-issue mini, that should be an event. They got to start thinking more event publishing. And if you've listened to Ask Chuck Dixon, Andrew, you know I've been pushing for crossovers for the longest time. I said, if you do intercompany crossovers, it's going to bring new readers in. And apparently they've listened, because they have a whole raft of intercompany crossovers.
They're kicking it up.
Yeah, they just officially announced that they're doing a Spider-Man Superman crossover. For the first time in decades.
And from what I read, there's more in the pipeline. So they, you know, because this is what they need to do, event publishing, because the monthly books, it's dead. It's been dead for forever.
Yeah.
So they really need to do stuff that's like special and everything. Because I remember, you know, I was a little older when Superman came out, but it was a big freaking deal. It was, and it came at a time when comic sales had cratered, and that book saved comics.
Oh wow!
Because it brought in new readers. And the other thing was, the other important element of that is they worked really hard on that. I mean, that book looked good. It read good. I mean, that was a good comic to bring people back to comics.
And that's where, I don't know if you guys have caught this, just on the topic of the crossovers. I think they've really shot themselves in the foot with this new round, because it was the Batman Deadpool and then Deadpool Batman, one by Marvel, one by DC. The Marvel one led the pack, and that featured a story by the lead story was by Zeb Wells, and it was the most generic kind of like, okay, yeah, oh, there's a Joker, there's Deadpool, there's Batman, got it. And then the second one came out, and it was written by Grant Morrison, and it was way better. But the comic book stores are reporting that like they sold gangbusters of that first one. They are sitting on stacks of the second, which is kind of like what you were saying, where I don't know why they didn't put all of their best feet forward on these things, right? Like why everybody knows Zeb Wells is like
put in your all-stars,
right? Bring back people like, go do the one last job thing, right? Like fly your helicopter to Chuck's ranch, and he's like, I'm not doing Batman no more, and they're like, we need one last job, right? Like
there's this many zeros on this check. Yes, you
Here's
will.
a dump truck full of cash.
It's 5 Apache helicopters, and one is there with like the delegation to get you, and the other 4 are suspending just like a giant flat of money, just like.
Here's the fun last quick question. So I lied. Just because you brought up the crossover deal, like the intercompany crossover, which character from DC and Marvel would you like if you were offered the option? Like, hey, we're reaching out to people. We're going to do this anthology book. There's going to be a number of crossovers.
Andrew, set it up right. For Chuck, it's got to be, hey, here's $50 million. We're doing crossovers and things. Can we talk? Can we talk to you?
Yeah. Which 2 characters would you pick for that?
I would love to write Sergeant Fury meets Sergeant Rock.
Oh man.
Oh. Because those 2 would not get along.
They would not. I don't even want that like as a one shot. I think that could be like a good like 3-issue miniseries. Like I would be really interested in that. That's awesome.
Yeah, so I just love the idea of Rock. Like, we're going to take up position here. We're going to do this, and here go the Howlers just rushing past him, straight in a machine gun nest. And he's like, those guys are out of their freaking minds. And he turns to Easy. Don't any of you?
That's exactly. I was going to be like, and he turns to everybody else, and he's like, do not learn the wrong lessons from.
I don't want to see any of that crap out of you.
Those are dead men. They're crazy.
Yeah, they're dead. Yeah, that would be. Oh man, that would be really cool. I really hope that Luca, what's his name, movie turns out well. The Sergeant Rock movie, because I just love Sergeant Rock. I want him to come back.
I read the screenplay years ago for a proposed Rock movie, and it was going to star Bruce Willis.
Ooh,
and the opening was super. The opening of Normandy Beach. It's D-Day. Basically, like everything's done. It's the end of the day. They've taken the beach and everything else. And this general comes off the landing craft with his entourage and everything else, and he sees this figure walking toward him through smoke. And here comes this guy. He's all torn up. His clothes are in rags. He's got unbandaged bullet wounds. He's got shrapnel in him and everything else. And General says to him, "Who are you, son?" And he goes, "I'm Private Rock." And he goes, "Well, you're a sergeant now."
Okay. I actually think that's really fucking cool. That's really cool.
I don't know how that movie didn't happen.
No,
right?
No. Yeah, the screenplay was great. It was great.
Oh, that's a hell of a way to kick off a screenplay.
That's a hell of a way to close out our time here as well. But we have one more question to close out, but also it's relevant. Hi, Chuck. When does the paperback of Guns of Mars come out?
It's from Castalia House, so I have no idea. It could be an hour from now. It could be 3 weeks from now. I really don't know. But I will get on them. I will prod them to get them out as soon as possible.
And as always, if you want updates, follow him. Follow Chuck on all of the social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook. I don't know what. Oh, YouTube, obviously. Duh. That's where Ask Chuck and the Drive Time comes from. Duh. I'm kind of dumb there. But guys, as always, go check out Great War of Separation #3. It is available for pre-order right now. Obviously, I think all the other stuff is still available, right, Andrew and Chuck? The Horseman 1 and 2. All the Alpha Cores
are available. All the Alpha Cores.
I know Zaylin is still there, which I love Zaylin. I can't wait to see more of him. Like I remember
Zaylin has our best throwback cover.
And like it felt. I remember telling Andrew when Zaylin was like announced. I sent him like the image, and I was like, dude, this character, this feels so perfectly like comic book alien. Like he's slightly human, but it's off. I was like, bravo, Chuck. I was like, there we go. Like you did it. You did it. But Yeah, with that, I'd like Chuck, any last words you'd like to say to everybody? Or
I'm gonna go buy a new camera as soon as I get off here.
I was going to say, not Chuck, our very, very special guest.
It's Netflix Chuck right now.
Yeah, damn it, Andrew. Yes, Netflix Chuck Dixon.
Yes, it's Midnight Chuck.
Midnight Chuck. I like that.
Midnight Chuck. All right. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us, Chuck. I know you've got a lot going on, but it's always awesome to hang out with you.
No, it's fun.
Love talking to you. Everybody out there, thanks for hanging out with us today, either here or on the forums, asking Chuck your questions. We will we'll see what guests we have next time. But until then, go check out all of Chuck's stuff. Guns of Mars on Amazon today, right now, Kindle edition, $5, or I guess you can do a 30-day free trial like I can, because I have not signed up for Kindle Unlimited. But that's what Chuck's got on deck. Go support him. He's delivering good comics. They're very rare these days. Andrew, any last sign off for you?
I will reiterate what you said. Check out Chuck's work. Make sure you are watching Ask Chuck Dixon, because the more questions that you guys send into him at brunobookstore@gmail.com, the longer that show is for me, and it gives me longer time to wake up with my coffee in the morning, and I appreciate that because I'm slow to wake up.
Very cool.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you soon. Thanks to Chuck, and go buy Guns of Mars. Go do that right now.
As the creator of Mara Jade,
Wait! I am not the creator of Mara Jade, and I want you to get out of this office right now.
I'm sorry, Zan.
No way.
You brought
No
it on
way.
You brought it on yourself.
I don't want you here.
I'm so
Out.
sorry, George. I didn't think it would go like this.
Out.
Ted, I got your voucher.
Out! There.
I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry. We'll have him like burned and we'll
I don't
execute
even
him
know
and
who
burned.
that guy is.